security. But I was in it secretly. I was in and out of relationships, in and out of sexual encounters with other women for my entire junior high and high school career. And it was my junior year of high school when I decided I couldn't live the lie anymore. So I, quote unquote, tried to stop and became very promiscuous with men in an attempt to convince myself that I was straight. Never was attracted, never had any attraction. Just wanted to convince myself that I was straight. And from there, I decided to officially, truly give my life over to Christ, but the thoughts didn't stop. And the thoughts didn't stop. I was still finding myself looking at women that way, but was like, as long as I'm not doing anything, it's no homo. But it really is. And I allowed the pornography to come back in, the masturbation to come in, back in to feed those desires. And last semester, I found myself indulging in alcohol a lot more while still involved in ministry. Still kept on a pretty face, still walked around, went to church every Sunday. I said if I was going out on Saturday, I had to be in church on Sunday. Made sure I was in Bible study on Thursday, mugs rehearsal on Wednesday, always in and out. But my heart wasn't in it. And in about November, I think it was, of last semester, I think it was right before Thanksgiving break, we were having Wild Bible study, and everyone was just worshiping. We were just going in, and I knew if I allowed myself to leave that place without telling everyone what was going on, I was going to kill myself. I had been a cutter all through high school. I was on dance team, was a cheerleader, just hid it in places where people couldn't see underneath my clothes, was a lifeguard, just found ways of getting it done. And then I decided that I didn't want to live anymore. And so last semester, I was actually on the verge of committing suicide, and we were in Bible study. We actually tried to pray out twice, and God would not let us out of there. And I knew it was for me. And so I was laid out on the floor crying, couldn't pray, and one of my sisters came to pray with me, and we were about to pray out, and I was like, if I don't tell you this, I'm not gonna make it. I know I'm not gonna make it out of here if I don't tell you this. And my voice choked. The enemy didn't want me to speak. I was shaking, I was crying, and basically, God kept telling me, it was after Thanksgiving, because God kept telling me over Thanksgiving that death was not an option, that I was not allowed to die, that he wasn't done with me yet. And I didn't fully understand that. I didn't understand how death couldn't be an option if it was the option that I wanted. I didn't understand how death couldn't be an option if I felt like I was in the way with everyone, if I felt like I couldn't do anything right, that things would just be better if I wasn't there. I couldn't understand why death couldn't be an option if my body is just taking up space and taking up other people's money. But God kept telling me that death was not an option, and that's what, and Keone was actually the one who prayed with me and who was speaking with me, and I told her, I was like, God told me that's not an option, but I feel like it is. And that night, all of my girls prayed over me that night, and literally, I left that place without a single thought of suicide, and I have not thought about it since. Then I went home for Christmas and got hit with all of this stuff again. Came back from break and was a little stronger, but I wasn't focused. And the main thing about the drama was the battle that she was having between her friends and her spirits was actually an internal battle. And that was what I felt like. I was getting thrown to the ground constantly, stuff getting tossed in my face, was just getting smacked, slapped, kicked, dragged, and I couldn't get out of it. And, but the main thing was that the entire time, Jesus was sitting right there. He was sitting there, and he was standing there with his arms wide open, waiting for me to just come and fully give my life over to him. And my life had already been his in a sense, but to just fully just surrender. Like I kept hearing last year, sacrifice and surrender, 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 surrender. And I'm like, I am surrendering. Like I told this one person that I used to cut, like no big deal. No, but I wasn't keeping it 100. I wasn't letting God just have his way in my life. And that when God stepped in, when she was laid out on the ground and she was just crying and Satan thought he had won, that was me physically at the altar. Like, I was like, Satan had won, God, I'm giving up, I'm done. You can take this or you can not, but I'm done. And he came in and he took all of it. He took all of it. And so it's by the grace of God that I'm sitting here right now, rather, being able to say this. So yeah, a couple of the committee and cast members want to share what the skit means to them. So we'll start.
Hi. What this skit meant to me was when we were trying to pray out. What was that, Tuesday? We had all encircled all the sins, basically, the signs, and when we had to go around and tell what the actual play meant to us, that was a time of honesty. And even though this is my family, like, I still held back because I was afraid of being judged. Everybody is afraid of being judged at some time. And after I started to see my brothers and my sisters starting to confess things that they didn't have to let us know, I had to step off to the side and like cry a little bit because they were being honest with me, but I wasn't being honest with them. And I prayed about it, and God told me that this conference and everything that we're going through right now, this is a time to get over all of our insecurities, to like this is a time to release ourselves from the burdens of like guilt and all that. And I know when I was praying, like when I think of myself and Christianity, I feel like I'm just filthy because I know that what God has for me isn't always what I want for myself because of that, what's that flesh? So yeah, but I mean, when I think of what was it, the VIP, Marika, she showed us some video, and it was called God's Chisel. And basically, God's Chisel, basically it was about this man named Timmy. He was an older man named Timmy, I don't know why. And basically, the whole concept of it was for him to understand that he is in God's perfect image no matter what he's going through. And God wanted Tim to say that I am your perfect image. He couldn't say it, but towards the end, after God started to clean his slate, he cried over it, he was able to say it. I left the VIP not being able to say it because like my actions are one thing, but my thoughts are something that nobody else can understand. But I can only fool myself for so long because those are my thoughts. So I couldn't just keep lying to myself. So after I had prayed about it, I was finally able to say, God, I'm sorry for always letting you down and all that stuff. But it was something in God's chisel where Timothy said, God, I'm tired of letting you down as well. But God told him, you can never let me down because you don't hold me up. And after I had heard that, I just started crying during VIP because we become so selfish and thinking that it's all about us, and it's not. It's really not. But it's like this right now. This is not about us. This is about God using us to minister to everyone else. So that's all I have to say.